Hey everyone, this is Rob over here at BuneBape, and I hope you're having an amazing day. As you can see, I'm pretty excited because in front of you is the November monthly release, and with that we have some patch notes. And just so you know, these servers are going to be resetting at 5 a.m. PST. Of course, make sure to check your local time, and it should be for about 4 hours tomorrow morning. So make sure to wake up late if you have nothing better to do, like myself. So if we do get into these patch notes though, I am not going to be beating around the bush. I'm going to be covering everything that you need to know here that I think is going to be important. But if we take a quick scroll through, there is a ton of content here. It just keeps going and going and going. And I'm not going to be covering this all, just to put it out there. So if you do want to follow along, make sure to check the description. I'm going to have the link for this down below. So if you want to follow along, go at your own pace or just read every single thing in here. That's totally cool. Just make sure to check that out and you'll be good to go. Also, along with that, there are a ton of weapon balance changes in this patch, and I'm not going to be going over those as well because I have a separate video that I think is over 20 minutes long where I go fully in depth on the balances as far as the nerfs to the Ice Gauntlet, Fire Staff, buffs to all the other weapons. So if you want to check those out, feel free to check out that video as well. I'll have both in the description as well as timestamps down below. So feel free to jump around the video. That's totally cool. I'm going to be covering a bunch of different random topics in here that I think are going to be important that you should know. So feel free to jump around if only a couple are important to you. So with that out of the way, back at the top, of course, we have the spotlight. So the new weapon, the Void Gauntlet, is finally arriving. This is going to be a great secondary weapon or offhand weapon for all of the healers out there. It does a really good amount of damage and is great for supporting. It's going to give you extra damage, empowering all of your friends, healing all of your friends as well as yourself. So it's also a very unique weapon, and on top of that, it looks very cool. So make sure to check that out. Also, even if you aren't a healer, you should maybe check it out because I think that the Void Gauntlet Fire Staff is going to be a really great combo in the upcoming patch. So maybe give it a little bit of time and see if you actually end up enjoying it if you are a caster of some sort. All right, so starting on some of the actual patch notes, we have some world experience changes, and this is actually going to be great. This is something that I really enjoyed in the patch and noticed almost immediately when I was playing the PTR, and this is going to be a movement speed bonus of 10% while on roads. I think they call it sprinting, so it's kind of funny, but this in combination with roll dodging and also perks that you get on the bow, for example, is going to make you run really fast. So it's actually probably going to be worth it for you to run to different places if you are trying to save on Azoth. If you don't have any of the Azoth reducing forts available to you, then this actually might be a great method for you to get around instead of just teleporting everywhere, because I know recently I've been low on Azoth, especially if it's tough for you to get an outpost rush game in. So on top of that, there's actually one of the bigger changes that they haven't mentioned anywhere else except for once in passing on the forums. And that is here, the extra bonus to luck whenever you are flagged for PvP. I don't know about you, but personally, me and a lot of people in my company were hoping that everyone that was gathering was flagged so we could all fight for the resources, kind of like in BDO if you've ever played that game. But they actually made it a real thing in this game. So not only are you going to get 10% bonus luck whenever you are out in the world while flagged, that's just for stuff like chests, killing bosses, they're also going to give you 30% additional gathering luck, and that is of course for gathering things like orichalcum, wire fiber, or skinning boars. You're going to get so much more luck, and it's going to be so much more worth it to be flagged that even if you don't enjoy PvP, this might be something that you're going to be interested in if you do enjoy gathering resources. So make sure to get some really good resource gathering gear. The old 300 gear score item level stuff is just not going to cut it anymore if you do plan on flagging up. So make sure to try and get as much of that stuff as you can today. So continuing with a little bit more news about PvP, they actually added some new quests for PvP. This is something I covered previously, but they added 3 new PvP faction missions, and the first one is going to be to control a fort, and then to literally collect the tears of your dead enemies, and finally is to raid enemy war camps. This is going to be a good mix up and change of pace, as currently it's really just 3 missions in each zone. So this will be nice. Hopefully they are able to mix it up and make it a little less boring. So we're moving down to the combat and AI section. So this first one is a pretty bad exploit where you can actually stack a bunch of different foods, giving yourself over 7% healing per second of your total health, which is a lot. If I needed to let you know, that's a lot of healing. So it's nice that they're finally going to be fixing the food stacking buff. Also, they are making a lot of changes to perks, so make sure that if you do have some of this gear to either hold on to it, use it yourself, or just buy it off the market before it goes up in price, before people realize that it's worth a lot more than it is, because they're going to be buffing something like leeching by a lot from 1.5% all the way up to 5%. Of course, that's going to be based on gear score. And I think you can get that on multiple pieces. So having 10% leeching is going to be very, very good if you're able to get it. Of course, if you're able to dish out enough damage for it to be worthwhile. But either way, I do think it's going to be a great addition. Moving on to some more changes, they have Freedom, Vigor, and Invigorated were all buffed by a little bit. Of course, again, based on your gear score, up to 8% from 5%. And of course, all of these do stack, so you can get them on multiple pieces of gear. Same thing with all of these perks over here. So Poisoning, Bloodletting, Burning, Crippling, Enfeebling, and Infected. I do think Poisoning and Burning, Crippling are going to be very, very good. They already are pretty good, and they're getting more than doubled from 7 to 15%. And again, these can be stacked as well if you are able to get them on multiple pieces. I think it is tough to get Poisoning and Burning on multiple pieces, but I think I have seen the others. So you are able to stack these if you are lucky enough to find those pieces. Also, one last thing before I do move on, I did mention this in the other video I just talked about where I went over all of the class changes, but they are moving a lot of the healing over to the light equipment load bonus from 20 to 30%. And that's to compensate because for anyone that is in the heavy armor healer meta right now, you are going to get an overall 20% healing reduction in all healing across the board. So this light armor from 20 to 30% is supposed to entice people to go over to light armor because they do want to pretty much abolish the paladin healer meta that's going on right now, where you can fight, essentially not really fight, just exist 1v7 or 1v10 against a bunch of enemies, such as an outpost rush. More is definitely more of the case. They're trying to get rid of that, it seems. So this is definitely more incentive to make it so that you do swap over to being a light equipment healer. Same with medium, but not to the same extent, up from 10 to 5%. So quickly finishing up with the rest of the PvP stuff, we have a lot of changes and fixes for everything from duels to wars and outpost rush. Speaking of outpost rush, they actually nerfed Battlebred by a lot, from 15% damage and defense to 5% damage and defense. So still going to be very good and very powerful, just obviously not nearly as much. On top of that, they also are nerfing the commander's tent. Most people don't even know what I'm talking about when I say that, but you can actually upgrade the commander tent in the fort closest to you, giving you and your teammates all a buff for up to 9% now instead of previously 15%. So make sure to keep an eye on that. One other last thing is that they actually were able to fix the constitution bug, as well as the 250 strength bug bonus that had been going on for quite some time now. So I'm pretty happy about that, especially being a Great Axe user. So here in the background, of course, we have all of the weapons changes. And like I said, I'm not going to be going over all or any of them, as I already have a 20+ minute about all of these changes. Essentially, to break it down as fast as I can, it's going to be Fire Staff, Ice Gauntlet, and Life Staff got nerfed by quite a bit, trying to lessen them down. And I'm not necessarily with that. I do enjoy fighting ranged casters fairly often, even in smaller skirmishes like Outpost Rush. Although it can be annoying, it's a good matchup usually. So I'm really, kind of saddened by that. Let me know what you think about it down in the comments below. Besides that, they did buff a lot of the lesser used weapons, such as the bow, musket, rapier, spear, and hatchet. Just to see if you are wanting to change over weapons, then you still have some time if you do play tonight, or you can go level up your weapons. I do have a couple videos on some great places to level up your weapon mastery if you did want to try out the new and improved other weapons in the game. Alright, so before we end the balance changes, we have here some general AI changes, and that's going to be some new enemies. So that's actually pretty cool. We get to fight some new enemies, see what they're about, and see their new attack styles, including some lost enemies, and also some buffed up corrupted villagers. So the strong corrupted villager dropped the pickaxe and picked up some weight, so that's going to be pretty funny. I'm really hoping he looks like a Hulk, but unfortunately I don't think that's going to be the case either way. I really like that line of text, so make sure to be on the lookout for all those new enemies. If we do scroll down a little bit though, we get some really interesting bug fixes in AI tuning. All right, so we actually have some really interesting changes down here for invasions. I don't know about you, but I know Orin, the server I'm on for NA East, is actually the first server to legitimately get an invasion win. I think we have over 5 of them now, but a lot of it was due to this, I guess, bug. I didn't know it was a bug. I don't know if anyone else knew it was a bug, but you could block Spriggans. They are definitely one of the most damaging enemies in the game. Usually you would just get one shot by them, but they also made it so you can't block them, but they did reduce the damage to structures. So it'll be interesting to see if they are as much of a nuisance as they are now, if it ends up evening out to somewhere in the middle, or if it just ends up sucking. That'll be a really interesting change. And shout out to Doggofu yet again. He streams over on Twitch, and he's the one that usually puts together all of the invasions for our server. So moving on down to the economy progression and loot changes. So this is a lot of stuff that I have already mentioned before, but they are so big and impactful on the game that I have to mention them again. The first one being that the faction cooldown has been reduced to 60 days from 120. Again, like I said before, I do think it should be 30 days because it's still a very impactful choice, while 60 days seems a little bit too punishing for how, how far south a faction can go in such a short amount of time. But 60 days is definitely a lot better than 120, so I can't complain for the time being. One other really great change that I just noticed not too long ago is that they made it so you can actually purchase chunks of consecrated iron from faction vendors. This gives you the resilience perk whenever you are crafting gear. And while the resilience perk was not nerfed, but just fixed so that it only works against crits, it's still a very, very good perk, and I think something that people are going to be very excited for. I personally have never found a chunk of consecrated iron. Let me know down in the comments if this actually exists or if this is just their way of adding it to the game. Another really great change is going to be for the trading post. So like I said in my other video, this is going to be one of the biggest changes in the entire game. So this is going to link all of the trading posts in the game so that you can buy stuff in Ebonscale that was posted in Windsward and vice versa. This is not only going to spread the wealth over the entire game, making all region owners in general much more happy, but on top of that, it's going to move the money away from Windsward and Everfall. If anyone doesn't know, the vast majority of servers, the main zone is Windsward and Everfall, and the only thing that's bad about that is both of those zones were making more money than all of the outer regions combined, which is definitely not good. Most people were doing that for strategic reasons, of course. It's better to have all of the stuff centralized so you don't have to go to multiple different regions, spending all your Azoth just to find an item you need. So it's nice that we don't have to worry about that anymore, and you can buy and sell stuff from literally anywhere you want. So this is going to be a great change. On top of that, they also reduce the durability loss from PvP, so it's a little bit less disincentive in order to do PvP. And also they are actually fixing housing a little bit. I know a lot of people felt like they were conned when they got the most expensive house and couldn't pay the taxes, but now taxes are due every 7 days instead of every 5 days. So this is actually going to save you quite a lot of money over time, and it's going to make it a lot less of a burden playing the game and trying to pay rent. So we have some more changes to progression, and this is going to be specifically for the crafting trade skills. So none of the refining skills or anything like that. This is going to be for things like weaponsmithing, armor smithing, arcana. All of these skills are going to require more experience in order to level up. So they did change it so that you are going to be getting more experience for crafting items that are higher level. For example, now if you craft an orichalcum axe, you'll be getting roughly 4 times as much experience for crafting that. Overall, it is going to be a much better progression, but even here they say that it's still going to take roughly the same amount of effort to progress the crafting skills into the highest tiers you're capable of doing. But I think a lot of people did the math, and it is going to require even still a little bit more experience, even with the newly balanced items. So if you do have some trading skills, or crafting trading skills specifically, that are really close to 200, maybe just go through and knock them out now. That might save you some time and money in the end. So we're reaching nearly the end of all the patch notes, and down here there's a lot of really great changes. Again, I just don't want to go over all of them because this would be a 30 to 50 minute video, and I don't want to make you sit through all that. The final change that I did want to mention though is for all my weaponsmithers out there. I know personally we've been dealing with this problem as a company for a long time, but they are going to be fixing the entropy boss in Malevolence. For For anyone that doesn't know, Malevolence is a level, I think, 61 elite zone in Eden Grove. It's one of the better zones, but unfortunately the main boss there, Entropy, only spawns once every server reset. And what's more annoying is that boss is the only boss that drops the weaponsmithing pants in order to make 600 gear score weapons. So they're finally going to be fixing that, and also fixing the chest boss, which I think is in Mangled Heights. So finally, weaponsmithers can rejoice and actually make some really good gear without having to wake up at God who knows or what hour in order to camp this boss that only spawns once every week. So that's going to be about it for this video. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff I didn't cover, so feel free to jump down below and check out all of the notes. This is also on the main website for New World, so feel free to jump over there, and it's going to be the very first one for the update. So that's going to be about it for this video. I hope you did enjoy, or if it did help you out. If it did, make sure to, do what you do best and like the video, comment, subscribe, and do all of that, as I'll be back here tomorrow as well. So thanks for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all very soon.